Pet Life Radio.
This is Pet Life Radio. Let's talk pets.
Hello, you're listening to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio with me, Deb Wolfe, and I have Dusty Rainbolt, my favorite cat expert, back on the show today. Welcome, Dusty.
Well, thank you for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Okay, well, I want to start with a little bit of a warning to everybody in my neighborhood because we've had a really bad problem lately with cougars and coyotes. So the cougars are being spotted all through an area called POCO, Port Coquitlam and Coquitlam, and they're on city streets, they're in townhouse developments, they're scaling fences, they're traveling in groups. Don't leave your cats and dogs outside even for a minute. Go out with them. Keep your cats in, period. Have your dogs on leash, go out with them. Do not think that your big dog is safe. Do not think that your little dog is safe because it's in a little yard. They can scale anything, and they've been taking pets. Over in Stanley Park, which is the best place to jog, beautiful, beautiful downtown forest, ocean, beautiful 10K runs. Nobody should be running there right now because coyotes have been attacking runners. And the guy who got attacked is a huge, big, young guy. He just happened to be the last jogger in a group of joggers. So don't be the last jogger. Don't even go right now. Yeah, he got bit and he stood up against the coyote, and you're supposed to stand up. You're not supposed to run. You're supposed to be loud, wave your arms, yell, scream. He did all that and it attacked him again. So this is very unusual behavior. They think that perhaps because of Corona, there's been increased park use, which means increased feeding of all these animals with garbage or intended feeding. And now this is what's happening. So never, ever feed wildlife, and just be careful if you're in those areas. And I guess, Dusty, I'd like to open it up to you. Do you have problems like this where you live?
Oh, absolutely. Coyotes are everywhere. There was a woman who wrote a book about coyotes, and it was science-based. And every large city has coyotes. And of course, if you're in the country, you have them. But her book, oh gosh, I wish I could remember her name. Carol Catano, I think was her name. And according to her research, cats are actually the preferred prey for coyotes. And they don't know if it's because they actually like the flavor of cats better or if cats are just easy pickings. But they can also easily jump an 8-foot fence. So just because you have a big high fence doesn't mean that your pets are protected.
Well, they also climb. I mean, I've seen incredible things by coy dogs, which are people's pets that happen to have been the accidental offspring of coyote dog. And they're not as agile. They're not as nimble. They're not as smart as the actual coyote. And yet they can do things no dog can do. So the real coyotes, they walk in such a way as to leave, their tracks don't look like regular dog tracks. When my dog runs, you see 4 paws. And you can see 2 and 2. You can just see the way the body is built. 4 paws, 4 paws, 4 paws as he runs along. When a coyote runs, he will step into his own footfalls. So he leaves a track like a hopping dog. It's a quarter less scent because he's standing in his own tread the whole time. I mean, these guys they're the geniuses of the dog world. They can trick dogs by pretending to be lame or friendly or social, or by sending one of their females in heat out. They can do all kinds of things to get your dog to follow them and then kill him or mate with him, her, and get her pregnant. That's how those coy dogs started, So you really, really don't want to mess with them, and you don't want your dogs to have anything to do with them because they do have heartworm and all kinds of other things. Everything a dog can die from, a coyote can give it. So their species are the same. They're all canines. So you don't want any mixing or smelling of poops or any kind of contact with your dogs if you can avoid it. So if you see the markings of coyotes, which are these kind of furry bits left on wire fencing, if you see them or you see signs that they're in an area, then put your dog on leash. Just don't let it wander. A coyote can be 8 or 10 feet from you and you won't know it. And there can be 20 or 30 of them and you might only see 2. They're incredible predators. So I just want everyone to be extra, extra careful.
Well, it's been a few years, but I live in a suburb of Dallas, and I walked outside at about 10 in the morning and was shocked to see a coyote casually loping on the opposite side of the street. And I watched him from one end of the street until he disappeared. And it was, I yelled at him. He looked over at me and just kept moving. I mean, he was running, but he was not running from me. He was just continuing to move in the pattern that he was. So it doesn't matter where you live. There are coyotes. If you have a green belt, you got coyotes.
Well, yeah, people think it's interesting, but when I look at a landscape, I see things differently. Like when I see a river, that's a highway. When I see a golf course, that's no man's land. Golf course at night, that's covered in coyotes. That's where they go. I mean, these are areas where there's no traffic and almost no human activity so much of the time. Beaches are the same.
Water. They have water. And when you have water, you have prey species. So there you go. I mean, it's the perfect place.
Well, and if we can keep our cats and dogs safe, then they will kill the rats. And 90 to 90% of a wild canine diet can be rats and rodents. We just have to be smart about this and not make our cats the easiest prey out there, because I bet they are, overfed and docile and hanging around. No wonder, compared to a squirrel that is like quite edgy,
And if a cat's been raised around dogs, then they just assume that all dogs are okay.
So it might not be a bad idea to in the training here, when I have my cats and they're growing up, they do experience good dogs and they have a lot of interaction with dogs. But there's a next door neighbor dog, Hank, who's terrible. And he's a coon hound. And it's good that they see that he comes running at the fence, rah, 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 and they run away. And, I want them to keep that fresh. Not every dog is your friend. So it wouldn't be a bad idea to make sure your cats aren't thinking all dogs are like your mush bucket retriever that loves them.
Stranger danger. We do it with our kids. We ought to do it with our cats.
Okay, so we're going to go to break and we'll be back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio with our guest, Dusty Rainbolt. Stay tuned.
For those fortunate to have experienced the deep bond and unconditional love of a companion animal, the death that follows can be one of the most difficult and misunderstood losses to go through. Many times, this devastating loss goes unrecognized and trivialized by family and friends, leaving grieving pet parents struggling to find healthy ways to cope with the loss. In And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal for healing the loss of a pet, Dr. Julianne Corbin calls attention to the difficulties unique to the loss of a beloved pet and provides an interactive and compassionate guide to help you process your loss and work towards coming to a place of peace and healing. For those interested in journal therapy and looking for a professionally written and compassionate resource to help understand and reconcile the grief associated with the loss of your pet, this book is for you. And I Love You Still, a thoughtful guide and remembrance journal by Julianne Corbin, is now available for purchase on Amazon and other major book retailers.
Let's Talk Pets on PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, you're listening to Animal Party on Pet Life Radio, and I'm here with Dusty Rainbolt. Sometimes people in the dog world, it's not 100% accurate, but there is this idea that there's a rule of thumb that a medium to large breed puppy at the age of 3 months is about half what it's going to be. Now, again, it's not accurate. There's dogs that outgrow that, and there's dogs that are smaller. But in general, it is fairly true most of the time that if you've got a large breed dog at around 3 to 4 months, double that, and that's what you're going to get in the end. So is there something like that for cats and kittens?
Absolutely. The rule of thumb with kittens is a kitten will put on 1 pound of weight per month up until about 6 or 8 months. So if you have a kitten that weighs 1 pound, then you're guessing about 4 weeks.
Okay, so what I'm trying to guess, okay, say that again, because I'm trying to guess how big the cat will become.
Oh, it's kind of hard to tell. Yeah. Generally, a kitten is going to gain about a pound a month.
Till when do they stop?
6 to 8 months.
Really?
They start slowing down. Now, it depends on the breed. I have Turkish bands, and there are some breeds that don't completely mature until they're 5 years old. Maine Coons are another one.
Right. Okay.
Whereas a typical cat will be fully mature and grown at 2 years. But I mean, they stop growing around 10, 12 months.
Does neutering affect their growth the same way it does dogs, or not so much?
Yes and no. Since you have the big difference in the size with the dogs, yes. Generally, if you neuter a male, he's going to be a little bit bigger, but for the most part, not. I don't think it affects them as much as it does a dog.
He'll be a little smaller, you mean, than a Tom, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. I think you got that back.
And also, you're not going to have the big fat face, and
so
there
the big
are
head.
a lot of physical differences. Yes.
Okay. And so what you were saying with the other math was that it's 1 pound per week. So if you have a 4 pound
month, 1 pound. If I said
month.
week, I'm totally wrong.
No, I probably got it wrong. So 1 pound per month. Okay. Yeah. I had the experience this summer where someone called me and said, we know these people and they're in dire straits and they're searching for a nursing mother cat. And I didn't have a nursing mother cat. And I said, you're going to have to get formula. You're going to have to bottle feed these kittens. Yeah, we're trying, but the kittens won't latch. They won't do anything. Is there anything you can suggest? So I sent them a standard poodle nursing mother, even though I knew the milk wasn't going to be good enough. But I sent her there for a week, hoping that it would sort of keep them alive, keep them warm, keep them clean, keep them wanting to live, keep them somewhat nourished while they transferred to bottle. And it worked. So 3 days or so is all it took. And then the people were able to get these kittens to actually feed off the bottle, and the poodle didn't have to be there anymore. The poodle, oh my gosh, when she first got there, I mean, she's kind of a cat chaser and everything was okay until they would meow. And then she just stare down like, what? Those aren't puppies. What? But she got over her cat chasing ways and is quite good. One of these kittens, as a thank you, they gave him to me. And so he's one of my cats now. And he's the one I'm worried about. I'm going to have to teach him that not all dogs are our friends, because, oh boy, he thinks his mother was a dog. He is like so dog friendly. It's ridiculous. He chases their tails and he cleans their ears and he hangs out with all my doodles and poodles. So I'm definitely going to have to give him that lesson you're talking about. So what I'll do is I'll have someone holding him and comforting him, but I'll have a dog that is quite a chaser come in on leash, not get to chase him fully, but make sure he understands this is not your friend. You should run from this. And hopefully he will.
I don't think it's a good idea to have somebody hold him, because if you're trying to get him to be fearful.
Yeah, you got to let go. I just meant to have him there.
Yes.
So they're holding him. So when I come in the room, he's there. Yes. And then you let go because you want him to run. You want him to escape.
For other people that may be thinking about this, do not put the cat in a carrier and do that. You don't want the cat to be caged.
No.
Because he has no place to run. That would have the opposite effect.
You're trying to teach him what to do when a coyote or a wolf or a dog next door chases him and he needs to get out of there. What's he supposed to do? So you want him to run away.
Yes. And if you're holding him, you might get hurt really bad. So you don't want to.
Well, that's true too. Yeah. He'll dig his claws in because he's going to be surprised. This cat that loves dogs is going to be shocked and panicky. And that's okay, because better that than be shocked and then dead.
Right.
So when the real thing happens. Yeah, I do think that cats can learn a lot of things. So how can you teach a cat to come when called, Dusty? Let's do that.
Well, first of all, something pleasant needs to happen every time your cat sees you. Pet them, you talk to them, you give them a treat, put a little catnip out there, you get the cat toy out. Something pleasant needs to happen every time. And I have really good luck with turkey baby food. And can I use a name brand? Okay. Yeah. I use Gerber because it does not contain onion or garlic, but always check, because you don't want to feed them anything with garlic. But every time I call them, they get baby food. And, you can start out by calling their name. And if they turn their head toward you, you click them. I use my tongue because I always have
you
it
have
with
a
me.
clicker. Yes, exactly. We're all built with a clicker.
Yes. And besides, if I'm trying to manipulate the baby food and this, I can't hold a clicker and do stuff at the same time. So I use my tongue. It works. So he looks at me and I click. And then as he responds more and more the way I want him to, I click the more advanced actions. And eventually he's going to go, oh, there she is. You call, he comes, click, there you go. But the timing is really important. You need to click as he is doing the action, not afterwards, because he's learning that whenever he hears that click, what is happening at that moment is what you're clicking. But if he's doing something else by the time you click, then he's going to associate the reward with whatever it is, the later action.
Because with dogs, it's the last thing he did.
Right.
You get the reward. But with the cat, it's the thing they're doing right then.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a little trickier. And the timing mistake most people make when training dogs is they reward the behavior they don't want. Let's say that the dog is shy. They reward it when it's being nervous rather than bold. Mm-hmm. Or if it's rude, they reward it when it's being rude instead of polite. They touch it and they talk to it and they react to it when it's jumping up and they ignore it when it's on the ground. Well, right. If you just flip that, you'll have a good dog, right? And the same with the cat. I mean, if you have a cat, I noticed this with Netflix. Whenever I'm watching Netflix, my cats are always between me and the screen. Very annoying. They can't go on the other side. No, they can't go on the other side because I won't notice them there. I only notice them if they're in my way. And it used to be when I had more of an old fashioned office, they used to always be in the inbox, never in the outbox, always in the inbox, because that's where all my stuff was. So you kind of have to figure out if you're unconsciously rewarding them for being bad, like so many of us do. If my cat jumps on the counter, boy, do I notice. But if he doesn't jump on the counter, I don't really tell him how great he is for not doing that,
Well, how many people, they jump on the counter and they give them a treat and then put them down? It's like, well, you just trained your cat how to jump on the counter.
Yes, that's actually how to train a cat to jump on the counter. Oh my goodness. Okay, so we're going to go to break and we're going to come back with how to train a cat not to jump on the counter, everybody, with Dusty Rainbolt, my guest. Stay tuned.
Take a bite out of your competition. Advertise your business with an ad in Pet Life Radio podcasts and radio shows. There is no other pet-related media that is as large and reaches more pet parents and pet lovers than Pet Life Radio. With over 7 million monthly listeners, Pet Life Radio podcasts are available on all major podcast platforms, and our live radio stream goes out to over 250 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, Odyssey, TuneIn, Stitcher, and other streaming apps. For more information on how you can advertise on the #1 pet podcast and radio network, visit PetLifeRadio.com/advertise today.
Let's talk pets.
Let's talk pets
On Pet Life Radio.
Pet Life Radio.
PetLifeRadio.com.
Hello, we're back on Animal Party Pet Life Radio. And Dusty Rainbolt is our guest. And we just told you how to train your cat to jump on the counter. And now, we're going to train your cat to stay off the counter. Okay, Dusty, how do they do that?
Well, if we have somebody that just absolutely has to be on the counter because you're fixing food or it's a good place to get away from the dog, or, and cats naturally prefer high places. So let's give him an alternative. First of all, we don't reward him. We don't give him any treats. He doesn't get anything when he's up there. Put him down on the ground. Get a stool that's elevated and reward him when he gets on the stool. And that way he can still watch you. He can still see what's going on. He's getting treats, but he doesn't get anything when he goes on the counter. And if he's a real counter surfer, and he does it when you're not there, then you can set up some little landmines. I like the little aluminum trays that are like an inch deep.
They're noisy.
Well, yeah,
right? But if they step on them, does it make it's kind of like unpleasant and noisy?
Well, it's not noisy, but they get wet. So you put like a little trace of water in there, and they jump up, and that takes care of it pretty fast. Or you could put sticky paws up there, and they don't like that. Put it on a piece of cardboard. Don't put it on the counter, because that's going to be a huge mess. But, if they're not getting the message, then you can try different violent deterrents, yes.
And some things are inadvertent rewards. Like if your butter dish... This is gross. For those people who don't own cats, I apologize. It's going to make you a little queasy. But for those of you who have a butter dish that does not have a tight-fitting lid, then you know as well as I do that it is regularly visited by your cats. They lick all around the outsides. That's a constant reward for jumping up there.
Absolutely.
So if you are using water as a deterrent, does that even work with Turkish vans? Your cats are swimmers, right?
Well, okay, so think of Turkish vans like little 5-year-old boys. Little 5-year-old boys, how do you get them out of the swimming pool? They love to swim. But when it's bath time, it's a whole different thing, okay. Even though it's basically the same concept. But so if you have those little, 8 by 10 trays, with just a trace of water in them, and it is going to make a mess because they're going to jump and they're going to go all over the place. But if it's just water, it's not that big a deal. But no cat wants to get wet if it's not their idea. So yes, okay. They are not going to appreciate it. And after that's happened a couple of times, they'll figure out something else, especially if they have an acceptable alternative to both of you and they get rewarded for that alternative.
Okay, so I just want to put this out there. If anyone listening decides to do this, please send me the video. Please. I want to see this. I really want to see this. I'm going to try it. I may film this. I'm going to see what I can do. Maybe I'll put it up on my Deb Wolfe Pet Expert YouTube channel. But I really want to see other people's cats discovering that the counter has water. Oh, this is going to be good.
Yes, the reaction is hilarious, but it's also effective, and it's not going to hurt them. It's just gonna upset them for a few minutes.
Do you think that, or in your experience, do some cats appear to be what we would call in human terms old souls, wise beyond their years, like they were reincarnated? This is a question from a listener, actually. She says she's had dogs before that seem clueless, and then other dogs that just seem like from the moment you meet them as puppies, they've already lived a full life. And now she has this cat that is what she says an old soul. Is it possible? Do other people think this way? She wants to know, or is she just putting human attributes to animals?
Well, I've had some old souls myself. And yes, I mean, I have to admit, I didn't believe in reincarnation in any way, shape, or form, human, animal, or otherwise. And then after my husband put his 19-and-a-half-year-old cat to sleep, about 3 years later, I was at PetSmart at the adoption center, and this cat actually reached out and touched me on the shoulder. It was kind of like the old joke where, you touch the person on the shoulder and then you move your hand. And I looked, and it was basically the same cat. And he was reaching, his little armpit was as far out of the cage. He was reaching so hard, and he was trying to get my attention. And it's like, oh my gosh, that looks just like the cat. Everything. And I don't think they necessarily have to look like the original cat. I wound up signing the adoption papers and taking him home that day, and brought him in and just released him, which I shouldn't have done, but I did. And we were in a different house than we were when he was alive. Well, anyway, so the cats that knew him just kind of went, "Hey, where you been?" And
really? Wow.
And the other cats hissed at him.
Wow.
And he acted like he didn't know where he was, which of course he wouldn't have because it was a new house. And my husband came home and he said, "Where'd the cat come from?" And I lied and I said, "I found him near PetSmart." I found him near PetSmart. And
another gift. Yes.
Yeah. But I can't lie to him. So I told him, he said he has to go back. And I said, you watch him for a couple hours. They said they'd take him back. You watch him for a couple hours, see what you think. So I didn't get the cat litter that I had gone to PetSmart to get. So I had to go to Petco to pick up cat litter. And I called him and said, what's the deal? Do I need to get kitten food or not? He said, well, we have a kitten. And so he also agreed that this was that cat. And
wow.
And everything he did, every way he reacted was like this cat. It was just crazy.
It's a similar topic, not exactly, but recently I fostered out a 2-year-old Great Pyrenees, big dog. And the people who owned him before, they can't keep him. They had to find a new home for him. He was here for a little while. I interviewed and vetted a bunch of people, found a nice family. Okay. The people who had him before said, never liked to swim, not a swimmer. The new people used to have a Newfoundlander dog, loved to swim, swam every day. So when they get this Pyrenees dog, they decide, well, let's go to the lake. We're going to take him to the lake. And what does he do? He swims, just like their old dog. Now, I think sometimes it's just, those people wanted it so much. This is what they do. This is the way they are. The dog picked up on it, gave it a whirl. I think sometimes they just fit. Like I used to have this cat that was always on the back of my chair whenever I was doing radio. And he's not with me anymore. He passed. But I know there's going to be another one take his place. Like they just find that niche, don't they?
They do. They absolutely do. It's and sometimes when you have a cat that passes and other cats take on those characteristics, it could be that this was a more dominant cat or whatever. In some of these cases, it's like, oh, well, this territory, this toy is now free, so I can use it. It's not being monopolized by this other cat. So, I think there's some of that too. And like I said, I did not believe in reincarnation until we had this situation with this cat. And what I perceive is one thing, but when the cats that knew him had no adjustment period whatsoever, and the cats who didn't know him were hissing at him, it was just really strange. And by the way, if you have reincarnation stories, I'd love to hear those. Your listeners.
We're about to wrap up the show, so you may as well tell them. Where should they send their cat ghost stories, dog ghost stories, horse ghost stories, and I guess reincarnation stories?
Yes, please. Please send them to dustycatwriter@verizon.net. I'm going to spell it one more time. DUSTYCATWRITER, all one word, at verizon.net. And so any paranormal story, I'd love to hear it.
But if you have a couple of minutes of video of your cats doing the Dusty Rainbolt counter challenge, I want to see it. So send it to me, Deb Wolfe, pet expert @gmail.com, and I will happily post. Oh, I can't wait to see these flying cats discovering there's water on the counter. Naughty, naughty kitties, all of you butter raiders. You should know better. Okay. Well, I do give my cats a little bit of butter, like when they're good, little bit off my finger, let them lick it, helps break down the hairballs. And that way they're not so incessant about trying to get out my butter dish. Guard your butter dish, everybody. Now that you know, if there seems to be a hair in it, yeah, that's a sign. That's not your hair. That's your cat. Yuck. Okay. Clean out the butter dish. Start over. All right, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today, Dusty.
Thank you for having me. I had a great time. I can't wait to come back again.
Oh, we'll do something in the summer. Thank you so much. Okay, everyone. From me, Deb Wolfe, and Animal Party Pet Life Radio, and Dusty Rainbolt, be good, dear animals.
Let's Talk Pets, every week on demand, only on PetLifeRadio.com.